Yes, indeed. What's cracking, people? It's your baby mama's favorite cousin, Cousin T-Taw. And today we have a conversation covering what we all know over here in this space. Today we're going to talk about the transaction and what the transaction does to the participants. Now, let's be clear. This is by no means a conversation that points the blame at somebody. Um, but it does not remove accountability either. The people that we discussed this evening are adults. We do not infantilize people in this space. However, when we speak on subjects and topics that cover issues that are sensitive or as sensitive as DV, we have to be thoughtful in our approach. We have to understand that there are so many aspects that we, the public, will never know. We'll never know, we'll never get to see, we'll never fully have a developed picture regarding what happened, what went down behind closed doors. All we can base our commentary on is what is reported to the authorities, what the official press releases from the family office looks like. And from those pieces, as cultural observers and social commentaries or commentators, part of our role is to put together a picture that allows us to understand the lesson. And as you know, in this space, we speak on the difference between the transaction and the exchange often because the transaction is so prevalent. It's so pervasive, not only in this society, not only in the Western society and American culture, but the transaction exists globally. As you know, I do coaching. I specialize in seduction coaching. However, when we talk about approaching a man's path of mastery, we have to cover a multitude of subjects, especially when we're looking to unpack what his blockages are. Where in his development did a blockage occur? Where did it start? What happened? And it's those resources that we discover and that we derive from those conversations, those consultation sessions that give us the teaching tools, and it refines our methodology of approach. So when we approach a subject such as this, we have a better understanding of how to unpack and to present these situations to our communities in a way that provides growth, in a way that provides understanding, in a way that allows us to resolve challenges that may have existed for a long time. So in tonight's conversation, we are going to primarily be covering the situation that has been unfolding all week on social media, covering Panda Bear in Chief, yada, just to make short of it. But, we always want to make sure that people understand that DV is not a laughing matter. It's something that we take seriously. But when we talk about the context, the broader context of someone who promotes themselves as a relationship expert and preaches and leads with the transaction, we have to take the opportunity to expose and to deconstruct the faults, you see? And really, before we get into this conversation, let us shout out the early arrivers. Shout out to Stefan.
What's poppin'?
Says, don't feel bad for her. Well, we'll see. We'll see as we unpack this scenario. Shout out to True Slayer 3000, who is a member. He says, salute to my baby mama's favorite cousin and to the chat. Yes, indeed. Salute to you, Danny.
What's poppin', twin?
Says, salute to the game and to Cousin T. Absolutely. Michael, salute to you.
What's poppin', twin?
Says, salute Cousin T. Joe Blast. Absolutely. King Seductive, enough respect. 100. Absolutely. Absolutely. These are facts. Panda Bear in Chief. Yes. Yes. It is challenging, but it's necessary. It's necessary that we have the challenging conversation so that we can have a better understanding and appreciation for the resolution, an appreciation for how to solve for the panderer, right? Jibla says, that is self-hate on the Panda Bear's behalf. It is tough. It is tough. There are so many reports online that speak to what could have factored into the ultimate activity or the action of DV on his part. But let's be honest. What I want to really focus on are the effects that the transaction has on the participants. Shout out to Lil Rock. Appreciate you having time to drop in for the discussion. So, as many of you may already know, the title comes from, as I mentioned, a social media personality / self-professed relationship coach by the name of Yada, and his wife, or estranged wife now, soon to be ex-wife, Aja. And the circumstances that unfolded recently, as recent as this week, included an account of DV, to the point where she had to remove herself from the residence. And as you can see with the slide that's on the screen right now, he is a full-fledged member of the transaction. As a matter of fact, the majority of his message has to do with leading with the transaction. Let me pull up briefly. Let me pull up a clip that I believe really exemplifies his message. Now, it can be said that the transaction is a philosophy. Leading with your wallet is a type of philosophy. Now, when we talk about how to unpack, how to address a philosophy, because I define a person's philosophy as their intellectual path to truth, you have to be careful when we talk about the philosophy of leading with one's wallet. Because in all actuality, there is but a few rational reasons for doing so. Because the downside, because the effects, because of how a person is affected by it on the other side, far outweighs the value of the transaction itself. So take a look at this just to get a brief sort of review of his messaging really quickly. Here we go.
Ladies, stop allowing these men to date you when they're outside of your tax bracket. If you can take care of yourself better than that man can, he's not the one for you. Yada, what about his heart?
And to all the men that love to pamper their woman, her money is her money and her money is her money. All the women that say, I'm going to help my man go get it. You're saying that because you're choosing men at the bottom.
Don't send her a good morning text. Send her some money.
All right. So that was brief. There obviously there are hundreds and hundreds of hours of this rhetoric online. And really it all leads to the same place. It all leads to what happens as a result of leading with your wallet slash participating in the transaction. And so when we look at what happened with the relationship, it is said that he met his now estranged wife at her job or her place of work. And he offered her the opportunity to be a stay at home mother. And he offered her a salary. Now, the salary amount, it ranges. Some people say 200,000, some people say 250,000. It's still, it's still a transaction. And then it is said that he increased that offer by saying that for every child she has, he will add an additional 150,000. Now, again, in a previous conversation, I mentioned that in our culture, here in America, we fought a war, okay, to end the buying and selling of people. And so when we talk about conversations like this, we have to keep in mind that leading with the transaction is not a part of our culture. That's why this is so strange. That's why this is so peculiar. Now, in other cultures, in other spaces in Africa and Europe and Asia, they still practice what they refer to as the bride price. You see, and offers of monetary rewards for a union is still commonplace, even though there are regions that are trying to outlaw it because of the effects of the transaction. You see, what we're really saying, and this is me repeating commentary from a previous live stream, is that when you participate in the transaction, first, the person who is offering the transaction is feeling disadvantaged because he has to participate in the transaction in the first place. Anytime you have to lead with anything other than who you are, it's shouting to the rooftops that I am not enough. That's the first part of the transaction. And so on the part of the presenter, they immediately start in the space of resentment. And now for the part of the recipient, now they position themselves as becoming a unit. You see, when we transact, when we buy something, when we purchase something, we are converting resources into objects, resources into services, right? Resources into experiences. However, when we participate in the exchange, we are producing an analog being a relationship between participants. You see, very, very different. And so part of what happens with the transaction is that the presenter starts to objectify the participant. So you've got the presenter and the participant. The presenter starts to objectify the participant and to look at the participant as property, which we see happened in the case of our case study here. Look at the tile that I used. Look at the language here. CashApp her 15,000 just because she's yours. She's yours. She belongs to you. You own her because you bought her. You see? And so when there is a disagreement, when there is cause for counsel, when she steps out of line, or challenges a decision or a ruling, or even wants to give her input, as should a wife be supported in doing. It's like your property getting out of line. It's like an object getting out of line. And unfortunately, a result of this mentality, a result of the philosophy of the transaction, comes with DV, comes with unfavorable results. And now this young lady has to sit with all of the decisions that she made to bring her to this point. You see, like I said, on both sides of the transaction, for the presenter and the participant, the consequence is resentment. She even mentioned in a video how ashamed she felt, how much she resented allowing herself to be in a situation that brought this upon her. Now, again, we do not victim blame. Again, we were not there. You see, we were not there in the moment in which the situation occurred. And we wish them the best. We wish her the best health and recovery. This is a time for her to sit in reflection. She obviously just had a child recently, and this is a time for her family to wrap around her and to rally around her and her children in a way that only a family can. You see? This is what happens. These are the downhill effects of participating in the transaction. Is it worth these things? Now, obviously, I'm using this slide that I've used before because I like it and it's appropriate to use in so many ways. You see, we've got the drop top convertible. We've got the designer bags, just like when they were at that luxury clothing store where they walk the materials out to the purchasers. You've got the luxury vacations. You've got the expensive residence. Is it worth what's on the other side of it? You see, no one says that a couple shouldn't strive to build a life that affords them luxuries. That's wonderful. That's great. However, when you participate in the transaction, an attempt to meet these things at the finish line. You see, to meet someone at the finish line of their achievement, then these become mere status symbols. And they are not worth what comes on the other side of it. You see, a lot of what we promote in this section has to do with value, true value. What really fast? I know we've got some realtors. I know we've got some salesmen in the building. What would be your estimate value for all of these combined? A luxury vacation, luxury car, luxury bags, and a luxury residence. Put that down in the chat. What you think? What do you think combined all of these are worth in value? Now, this is retail because most of it starts to depreciate as soon as you take possession of it. But let me know your thoughts about what the value, the overall value of retail of these items would be. Let me know in the chat what you think. Because I talk about the transaction, not only here in these spaces on the public side and YouTube, but those who are familiar with my Patreon, you know that we really go in depth. Okay. This is a tile from a conversation that I have over on the Patreon where I said the exchange supremely outweighs the transaction. You see, prominent in so many other countries, as I mentioned. Now, the person that's at the bottom, listen, I don't judge. All right. People go to Thailand for what they go for. All right. You, you like it, you knock your socks off. All right. But at the end of the day, in the beginning of the next, it can never be a suitable substitute for the exchange. You see, because when we talk about the exchange, even at the surface level, it's two people or more. Listen, no judgment. It's at least two people engaging in an exchange of experiences, engaging in an exchange of intimacy, engaging in an exchange of information. You see, and at the end, the result of the exchange is memories, is fulfillment. You see, is an analog, a bridge that connects to humans and reveals their humanity to each other. That's why we go on a little tangent real quick before as I bring up another video. Okay, this is another. We're not just going to focus on the couple. There's another video that I want to highlight that shows I wouldn't call it extreme, but it is definitely representational of the transaction. You see, and while I bring this up, everyone within the sound of my voice, make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Forward this conversation to someone who you know can benefit from this ism, as well as blessing the Cash App that's at the bottom of your screen, and then subbing to the Patreon for deeper conversations. Let's see. All right, cool. We'll do the full screen mode here. Now, while I bring this up, like I said, the exchange greatly outweighs the transaction. And for those who are on the mating, dating, and relating scene, you're at a bar, you're at a club, you're at a lounge. Even though some people, and I acknowledge and I respect some people's position on one night stands, right? When two consenting adults, listen to the words that I'm saying very carefully, when two consenting adults decide to engage in a one night stand, that is a form of exchange. Two people who meet each other. They may be traveling. They may be coming from different regions of the planet. They may be in college. They may be whatever the circumstances, but they're meeting in that moment. They're crossing paths. They're having a conversation. They're engaging each other. They're enjoying each other's company. They are feeling that spark. You see, that human spark of aliveness. That chemistry is rushing. And again, as consenting adults, they determine that, hey, tonight, let's enjoy each other safely and responsibly. You see, this is the language of the exchange. Notice the words that I'm using, even in regards to a one night stand, fully acknowledging that that's not everybody's bag. Okay. Respect to everyone who doesn't do it, who's never done it. Of course you would never do it. Of course. I'm just throwing out a hypothetical, right? Even a one night stand is a form of an exchange. And whatever is enjoyed in that evening, you see, between those two consenting adults, safely and responsibly, represents a moment, represent an instance, a scene, you see, that speaks to their humanity. The four primary drivers of human activity, right? Safety, pleasure, discovery, and expression. You see? Living out who we truly are at our core is a part of the beauty of the human experience. That's why the exchange is promoted over the transaction. And here is an example of why. Here's an example of why we discourage the transaction. Let's see. Well, the transaction and leading with your wallet.
It happen like that sometimes. Why you ain't got no money? She talking about why I got 20s. Bitch, why you ain't got no money? No. Let me see some money. So, yeah. Show me more than this.
Can we do the HBO stuff? Who you work for?
Me.
Who you work for?
The whole world.
Briefly, for those who don't know, this is Adrian Bronner. Okay, former title holding boxer. Okay, he's doing a lot of live streams that show him on a path to redemption, coming back. Will he step back in the ring? We don't know. That's a part of the story arc, but he's had challenges. He's battled addiction. He's battled with, child support, so many things. And throughout a lot of the clips and a lot of what's shown about his life now has to center around him having money, him using money to throw parties, him using money to gain the attention of women who would not have normally given him the time of day. You see? And in this instance right here, he is going back and forth with a young lady just because of the type of bills he's holding in his hand as a demonstration of his wealth. And when she challenges his position, you see, she's challenging the position of presenter of the transaction. And he's becoming visibly upset. Now, obviously, this is content. This is, this is television, right? But when you look at how triggered he's becoming, because she's not impressed with the transaction, she's not impressed with his immediate wealth. Notice how upset he becomes. Here you go.
I bet your nigga know me. I bet he look up to me too. Hey, pull her out. Hey. Pull her out. Pull her out. Pull her out.
I'm tripping, man. Fuck that shit. Did you lose weight? Dawn? Fuck that bitch.
Hey, gang, get the fuck out of here.
Gotta go.
Hey, gang.
What did she do?
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Oh.
Her. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
He's kicking you out.
Then you gotta go.
Yes, indeed. This is a interesting case study. Interesting case study because we see, shout out to Tristan Fitness, absolutely. We see the entitlement that the transaction leads to. We see the self-loathing. I mean, when you look at his face in response to her not being turned or moved by the money. And there are a few other videos that I passed in which he's trying to negotiate for company. He's trying to negotiate for intimacy, and the woman rejects his offer. Now, there are some videos where women are going. Women, there are some videos that show that he is able to successfully buy compliance, purchase compliance. But again, along with entitlement comes resentment when a person is rejected. But the resentment also comes when the person participates in the transaction. You see how that works? It's a double-edged sword because of the level of fakeness that's involved. You see, the transaction is an artificial relationship dynamic as opposed to the exchange. You see, synthetic versus analog. That's what we're dealing with. The transaction is a synthetic relationship based on the conversion of intimacy into currency. You see, the exchange is an analog, which is a relationship that's developed naturally based on chemistry, based on mutual attraction. You see, very, very different dynamics at play. And the results speak for themselves, right? Shout out to No.
What's poppin', twin?
Says greetings. We appreciate your participation. Absolutely. Moving forward, when we talk about value, and we have to make sure that we get back to the basics. We have to get back to the basics of our philosophy. And the basics of our philosophy include what truly is valuable in terms of man gets woman, in terms of the mating, dating, and relating landscape, in terms of how we relate to others. When we talk about what we bring to the dynamic, it starts with this. Of course, it starts with your masculine light, which includes your presence, your wisdom, and your leadership. This comes up often in coaching sessions, you see, because a lot of men and women don't have the vocabulary to articulate what their value is off the bat, just showing up. You see, your value is not a fistful of 20s, 50s, or even $100 bills. Your value is not your cold wallet that holds your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, right? and your meme coins. That's not your value. Because who are you without it? You see? Who are you without that fistful of dollars? Who are you without that cold wallet holding the Bitcoin, holding the Ethereum? You see? Holding those meme coins, right? If you don't possess an abundance of light, what do you have to lead with? Because these are three essential factors that a man shows up with on GP. Who you are physically, who you are mentally, and who you are from a character perspective. And on the other side, when we talk about the woman, what does she bring? What value does a woman bring? This is definitely a question that comes up often in conversation. Well, if I bring these to the table or bring these to the dynamic cousin, what should I look for the woman to bring? Well, of course, it's her feminine mystique, you see. Her feminine mystique consisting of her allure, which is her outer and inner beauty. Who is she when no one's looking? How does she treat the wait staff? If you were to take her, and this is shout out to the consultation clients, man. The lessons and the conversations that we have are monumental. We have some really, really powerful breakthroughs in our coaching sessions because we unpack so many things that men and women have never even thought about. And we work our way through those levels and stages of development. And one thing that came up in a consultation session recently was that I asked if a person has ever volunteered. Right. And I mean, like, sometimes people as a tradition, as a family tradition, or a single person's tradition will go to a charity and volunteer to feed the homeless. In Chicago, we have an organization called Catholic Charities. Now, Catholic Charities is an international organization. The Midwest headquarters is here in Chicago, 721 North State Street. I know that because I worked there before, okay? One of my 10,000 jobs. And every day, volunteers go there to feed the homeless. They bring in the food from what's donated by partnering organizations. They prepare it in the kitchen area. They plate it, and then they serve the guests, the indigent and people who enter the hall for the meal. They're referred to as guests. They're not referred to as the homeless. They're not referred to as the unfortunate. No, they're referred to as guests, as a point of dignity. You see, there's a whole understanding that surrounds volunteerism, you see. And I brought this up to a consultation client to give him a point of reference, a perspective. Because if you are looking for the type of woman who has allure that is inner and outer beauty, beauty that goes beyond the surface, can you take her to a volunteer kitchen? Right? Okay, no guarantee says Bitcoin back to the motion. Are you talking about the moon or to motion? And really, when we talk about capital gains, when we talk about winning in life, when we talk about doing well, how do we give back? Who are we when we're up? Right? We can talk about persevering. We can talk about grinding. We can talk about all of these elements of a person's culture when they're on the come up, when they haven't arrived. But who are you when you do have abundance, when you do have wealth, when you do have position? And so that's just the first part of a woman's mystique, her allure. The second is her intuition, which is the complement to your wisdom. What type of senses does she have? How is she able to read a room, right? What does she feel about certain decisions, about certain instances, about certain people? You see, that intuition, if properly positioned, can lead to the most beneficial, the most favorable, the most flourishing outcomes. It all starts with your leadership, though. You're the one that has to put her in the best position to win. And finally, the third component of her feminine mystique, which is her innate value that she brings to the dynamic when we talk about the exchange, is her support. You see, the complement to a man's leadership is a woman's support. Is she able to be led? Does she speak the language of support? How can I make this better? Have you eaten? How are you feeling? What is it that you need? You see, a lot of those questions would make, some women who are steeped in a transaction would make them cringe. But when we talk about value beyond the transaction, these are those intangibles. You see? Shout out to No Guarantees. He says, that's the purpose of us being on this earth is service. It makes us challenging when there are those who take without any intention of giving. Yes. And that's why a philosophy is necessary. Having a sound philosophy is necessary because it is what you live by, not only what your intellectual path to truth is. Because you can have all the theory, you can have all the information, you can have all the reference material, you see, but if you don't have the means of integrating all of that and applying it, then it's worthless. Knowledge without application is folly, you see. And so when we talk about who we are as natural counterparts. We have to appreciate when we're there, when we are at the point of relating. You see, we've gone through mating, we've gone through dating, now we're at relating. And when we talk about the value that each other provides to the familial ecosystem, here we go. For a woman, relative to a woman is his natural counterpart, his natural supporter, the foundation of the familial ecosystem or the home, and his natural source of procreation. Relative to a woman, a man is her natural counterpart, her natural leader, the authority or the cover of the familial ecosystem, and her natural source of procreation. You see? Nowhere in here says that she is his property. Nowhere in here does it say that he is her wallet. That's because that doesn't exist when we talk about the exchange. Yes, resources are necessary. Yes, it's necessary to have the type of vocation that allows you to be able to support your home, to support your family, to support your vision, to support your mission. However, that is not what you lead with. That is a tool. That is an element, you see, in the greater scope of reality. And so when we talk about the opposite of the exchange and what that does to you, because we can talk about what the transaction does to you all the time, all day long. It causes you to crash out. The transaction causes you anxiety, causes you, right, to be entitled. It causes you to dislike your mate after you dislike yourself for having to participate in the transaction to begin with. I'm not good. I'm not enough, so that I don't have to pay to play. And then she says, I'm not enough to whereas I have to settle for the transaction. Because let's be honest. Let's be honest. Over here, we talk about choosing up, not settling down. You see? Marriage is a beautiful thing outside of the state sanction and the signing of the legal documents. But hey, you like it, I love it. Do as you will with that. But marriage is a beautiful thing. Wonderful vehicle for growth, for family creation, for community flourishing. At the same time, we have to appreciate the values, the principles that underlie that structure. And at the heart of that is a man's philosophy, because you have to be the leader. Another thing that comes up in conversations, and I've said this before, and I'm curious. Chat, let me know if you know this. How do you know who the leader is? Who is the leader? How do you know who the leader is in a situation or a dynamic? Put the answer down below if you have it in the chat. You see? And as I have you thinking about that, right? Googling and things of that nature. 'Cause I've said it before, but a lot of things bear repeating when we use certain terms and certain vocabulary. I just like to, do rolling pop quizzes, right? With these lessons. How do you know who the leader is? Who is the leader? How do you know? And so when we talk about what is happening with your life, we have to cover your lifestyle elements, because you can have material things. You can have the nice home. You can have the car. You can have the resources, the ability to go on vacation. But when we talk about a person's lifestyle elements, in particular, a man's lifestyle elements, these are the things that I implore you to appreciate. What is your vocation? Meaning, how do you make a meaningful enough impact and get paid for it to support your lifestyle? Second, what are your hobbies? What are the things that you enjoy engaging in outside of your vacation, outside of your studies, outside of um, the necessary administrative tasks of your life? What are your pursuits? What's your mission? What are you looking to get better at? You see, what do you spend time researching so that you can gain a better understanding of? Those are your pursuits. And finally, what are your cultural practices? We mentioned volunteering, either quarterly, biannually, annually. Like I said, a lot of families volunteer around the holidays for, Thanksgiving, Easter, Memorial Day, Christmas, New Year's, serving the less fortunate. That's a cultural practice. What does that look like for you? Because these are the basis. These are the foundational elements of how your household is going to thrive, how it's going to be run. You see, we talk about a man's program. You have to assign a position for a woman or women, if you're poly, in accordance to your existing life. Because guess what? This is who you are. Your lifestyle elements are the reflection and the summary of your activities. What you choose, how you answer these points, your vocation, your hobbies, your pursuits, and your cultural practices, those are elements that make up who you are. On top of that, the emanation of your masculine light. You see how this all fits together? When we talk about the transaction, there is no extensive appreciation of the things that we've discussed here. The only thing that matters with the transaction is if the check will clear. You see? Can you pay? Will that wire transfer clear? You see? And on the other side of that transaction, there is no guarantee that she will stay. Now, today's case study is an extreme representation of that, but it still represents what happens on the other side of the transaction. All right. See, shout out to everybody who's participating in today's conversation. Here's the answer. The leader is the one who knows where we're going. So take that with you. Put that in your hat. All right. So in case anybody else ever asks you that question, you have an answer for it. The leader is the one who knows where we are going. You see? And so now I want to make sure that we've covered. That's right. You absolutely take notes, because guess what? This will come up again in a quiz. All right. We love quizzes around here. We're always interested in sharpening our skill sets and maintaining a level of wisdom. You see? Now, this is an easy one. All right. This is not a trick question. I guarantee you already know the answers to this one. What does a woman look for in the man? And what does the man look for in the woman? This is an easy one. We discuss this often. Okay. This should be a real quick. This should be a real quick one and done, because I want to unpack that for just a moment as we round the corner of this conversation. You see, who's got it? Who's got what a woman looks for in a man and what a man looks for in a woman? 3, 2, 1. Now, Here is a response. Satisfaction for a woman. Now, that's what she wants at the end of the day. A woman wants satisfaction. Just like at the end of the day, a man wants peace, right? Everybody, knows about a woman or a man saying he wants peace. She can't disturb my peace. And we talk about how a woman desires satisfaction. Now, specifically, what a woman looks for in a man is the destination. You see? And the destination is a space where a man can rest and where a woman can nest. And when we talk about what happens in a space where you can rest, keep this in mind. The destination is where you, the man, can rule. You set the rules of engagement, right? You are the authority, which translates into legitimate rulership. You see? You are actually the measuring stick. You are the standard bearer in the home. The E stands for enjoy. Can you enjoy yourself in the destination that you have provided? Are you satisfied and able to satisfy your mate? You see? And finally, the destination is where a man can teach. You see? We love to teach. We love to teach. And we don't even recognize, especially when we're in the presence of a woman that we have chemistry with, a woman that we're compatible with. Oh man, we're trying to teach her all kinds of fun stuff. Hey, have you been fishing? Do you know how to bowl? Do you know how to shoot pool? Hey, here's a fun way to start the garden, right? Get the peanut shells, get the egg shells, get all of these things, and then you turn it over, make a nice mulch, bury that top layer or soil, turn it, all of these things. We love to teach when we are in the presence of a worthy student. So that's the first part of the destination. The first part of the destination is the space where a man can rest. And the second part of the destination is this: the space where she can nest. You see? And we discuss a woman's nesting dynamic often because it is central to what she brings to the space. You see? Yes, indeed. Danny, the destination is a space where a man can find rest and a woman can nest. And here's what it means for a woman to nest. She is nurturing. She's able to nurture. She's emotionally stable. She's submissive. And she is a temptress. You see? Not only do we bring the value of our masculine light, and she brings the value of her feminine mystique, but when we see how this plays out in the familial environment and within that ecosystem, these are the attributes. This is how it plays out. You see, this is how value meets value, and it produces an analog, a relationship that allows for flourishing. Now, of course, this is ideal. You see, this is after you've vetted. This is after a period of getting to know each other. But now you have a basis. Now you have points of conversation that you can bring to a meeting, a meetup. Obviously, don't try to avoid having this depth of a conversation with your first meeting, with the type of woman that you desire to acquire and exchange with. However, keep these components in your mind, because these are value adds. These are value propositions that the average man and the average woman do not have access to because it's not a part of their vocabulary and thus not a part of their philosophy. Shout out to Truth Sayer. Absolutely. Salute to you. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. And to Danny for appreciation for the ism. Keep these lessons in mind. Now, this again was an element packed lesson because I wanted to make sure that we had something to offset the earlier subject matter. Because when you talk about the transaction, we have to be able to provide a counterpart that supersedes the transaction and the level of value. The exchange will always, always, always be more valuable than the transaction because the exchange is infinite. The transaction only lasts as long as your bank account is positive. The transaction only lasts as long as you pay taxes on your property. The transaction only lasts for as long as you deem the person that you have essentially purchased as valuable. You see? But when we talk about the exchange and we talk about the value of you as a person beyond any transaction, now we're getting to the source of life. We are getting to what this thing is all about. And that is the essence of foundational game. You see, it's not just about man gets woman. It's about man gets to know who he is. You see, it's about man gets to present a woman with the opportunity to experience who he is. You see, it's about man puts woman in the position to reflect back to him who he is. In short, foundational game is about you. And so as we round the corner on this particular conversation, I want to keep all of these things in mind. Make sure that you continue to like, share, subscribe, forward this conversation to someone who you know can benefit from this ism. If you value the information that comes across here on the YouTube side, consider becoming a channel member as well as subbing to the Patreon. As far as who I am, you know who I am.
He is I and I am him.
This is your baby mama's favorite cousin Taw, the alpha wingman, saying, stay sharp. Let me get that out the way. And mission focused. Later.